to the 15th commencement exercise at Roger Williams University School of Law. Renee De La Garza will now sing the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed, its last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please be seated. The Roger Williams University School of Law has assembled an excellent faculty. They have graduated from the top law schools, clerked for leading judges, and have had distinguished careers in a broad range of practice settings. Their excellence is manifest in the books and articles they publish in top law journals. They also play an important role in the advancement of the rule of law in Rhode Island, on the national, and even on the international stage. But every single one of them understands in their bones that their most important job is the training of the next generation of the leaders of the bench and bar. They do by providing a rigorous but personalized education. My faculty colleagues know the law school classroom is the foundation of a successful legal career. And every day they make real for Roger Williams law students these words of the dean of the law school that I attended. At school, you are not engaged so much in acquiring knowledge as in making mental efforts under criticism. You go to a great school not so much for knowledge as for arts or habits, for the art of expression, for the art of entering quickly into another person's thoughts, for the art of assuming in a moment's notice a new intellectual position, for the habit of submitting to censure and refutation, for the art of indicating assent or dissent in graduated terms, for the habit of regarding minute points of accuracy, for the art of working out what is possible in a given time, for taste, for discrimination, for mental courage, and mental soberness. I would like the faculty here today to please stand and accept the appreciation from this commencement crowd for all they've done for the class of 2010. The journey from law school orientation to law school commencement takes years. It is marked by challenges met and results today and a dream achieved. We know that few law students make the arduous journey to this special day without the help of people outside the halls of the law school. So now is the perfect time to recognize some of the other people who provided valuable support to the graduates we honor today. First, it all starts, of course, with the parents. I would ask that all mothers and stepmothers and fathers and stepfathers of the 2010 graduates please stand and accept a round of applause for all that you have done to bring us to this day. One of the great safety nets is an extended family. With the siblings, aunts and uncles, great aunts, cousins, and last but not least, grandparents, please rise in order to receive thanks for all they've done. Would all the spouses, common law or otherwise, plus their children, please stand and accept our congratulations. Over the past 6.5 years, I have worked with the university's CEO, who is a person of great energy and vision, and whose support has been instrumental to the many successes of our young, ambitious School of Law. It gives me great pleasure to introduce to you Dr. Roy J. Nerschel, president of both Roger Williams University and the Roger Williams University School of Law. Dr. Nerschel.
Good afternoon, and let me add my congratulations to the law school class of 2010. This is always a terrific occasion and a beautiful day here in Bristol. I want to add my recognition to Chairman Brady, all the Board of Directors of the School of Law, the faculty, and the other honored guests. I've had the privilege of serving in higher education for nearly 3 decades, with most of that time at universities that had schools of law. Most of these schools of law were older, larger, better funded, and were parts of billion-dollar-plus universities. They have, if you will, built-in brand identity. But I have to say honestly, person for person and value for value, you will not find a better school of law anywhere in this country better than Roger Williams University. And the reasons why, and it's a simple equation. The reasons, you as graduates and the people on this stage. When I became president of the university and the law school in 2001, the law school was barely 8 years old. It had been through 5 deans, including several stints by my friend Bruce Cogan. It had a whoop for Bruce. It had a dedicated but very small faculty. It was not, candidly, very selective in its applicant pool. The coffee and campus cuisine were sadly lacking. There wasn't enough parking, and the university itself was not particularly distinctive. Yet the law school survived. I called it the miracle on Medicom. Today, we don't talk about surviving anymore, but rather about prospering, growing, and enhancing the student experience in ways quantitative and qualitative were on a high. The bar pass rate, faculty productivity in scholarly journals, the number of hours that you all log in community service, the visibility of the faculty, including the dean and the popular press, the work of the Immigration Clinic, the Pro Bono Collaborative, the Marine Affairs Institute, support from great philanthropists in the legal community, McConnell. These are all measurable. But I think an even more powerful indicator is qualitative. It's the vibe in the school. Positive graduate, civil discourse, optimism, intelligence, energy, ideas, humor even when you are no longer a 1L, energy wafting down the halls, and yes, the smell of much improved coffee. There's an education philosopher, Dr. James Fisher, that says about 80% of the time, who serves as the president of an institution or a dean doesn't really matter. Things are going just fine, smooth sailing. The dean is transactional. Make sure the trains run on time, the grades get in, make sure they don't flub the accreditation, make sure air conditioning is working, their process. 20% of the time, he suggests, leadership is critical. And in half of those times, a leader really messes up a good thing. That means that only in 10% of the time, a leader, she or he, is transformational. Leads not just by example as a good teacher or a scholar, but by bringing energy, enthusiasm, ideas, vision to the enterprise. By seeing the big picture, by building his or her eyes on the prize, worrying about the day-to-day, by being respectful. I have seen many law school deans in my 30 years career, but there is none better than David Logan. He deserves a round of applause. We're all very, very fortunate to have him. Now, few occasions are made better by a long speech. This is no exception, so here's my quick advice. Take a well-deserved break, at least 48 hours after this occasion. Take your family out to dinner. If you don't have a family, please borrow mine. Rest up, study for the bar exam, but not tonight. Going forward, be engaged in your community, be an advocate for the underserved perhaps, make some money, come back, endow a chair. But most of all, about today, make sure you capture the moment. Make sure you savor this occasion, the mountains you have climbed to get here, your extraordinary accomplishments. On the way out, high-five your friends, hug the faculty, be gentle. Stop and smell the roses, but please do not pick them. They cost a fortune. Life moves very quickly, so savor this moment. And the words of my friend, the late Warren Zevon, make sure to enjoy every sandwich. So congratulations to the class of 2010.
Thank you, President Nerschel. The School of Law is indeed fortunate to be able to award honorary degrees today to Jan Schlickman and the honorary Rogeriee Thompson. I now call upon President Nerschel in presenting the honorary degrees. President Nerschel.
Would Judge Edward Clifton from the Law School Board of Directors please escort the Honorable O. Rogeriee Thompson to the podium? Please, don't choke her. Okay. We have too many lawyers in the room. Judge O. Rogeriee Thompson, you have dedicated your life to applying and improving the law. In your more than 3 decades of public legal service, you served as Associate Judge with the Rhode Island District Court, then as an Associate Justice with the Rhode Island Superior Court, and now as a Judge on the United States Court of Appeals for the First Circuit. But your contributions on the bench have gone far beyond the mere dispensation of cases. Among your many other contributions, you were instrumental in establishing an Office of Court Interpreters, ensuring that limited English-speaking litigants had access to a fuller understanding of judicial proceedings. Judge Thompson, you are the first African American and only the second woman ever to sit on the First Circuit. And your extraordinary commitment to improving diversity and inclusion in our legal system is widely recognized. For example, the Women's Center of Rhode Island recently honored you with its Woman of Excellence Award. Just this year, you were inducted into the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Hall of Fame. Nor does your dedication to outreach stop there. You are an active participant in many community and educational organizations, from the Board of Trustees for the YMCA to the Save the Bay Leadership Council. Last year, upon the formal recommendation of Senators Jack Reed and Sheldon Whitehouse, President Barack Obama nominated you to the United States Court of Appeals for the First Circuit. On March 17, 2010, the U.S. Senate confirmed your nomination in a vote 98-0. Judge Thompson, for your unwavering service to law and justice in Rhode Island and beyond, we are honored today to confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa, given this 21st day of May, 2010. Congratulations, Dr. Thompson.
Judge Clifton, please escort Attorney Jan Schlickman to the podium.
Yeah, nice job. Jan Schlickman, you have used your education and experience to fulfill the highest goal and aspirations of the legal profession, to truly make a difference in people's lives. You were already a noted plaintiff's attorney when you took on the defining legal battle of your career, representing 8 Woburn, Massachusetts families against W.R. Grace and Beatrice Foods, when the company's contamination of city water supplies caused an epidemic of childhood leukemia in the community. The dramatic nature of the case, together with your fierce dedication and personal sacrifices for your clients, drew broad media attention. Your groundbreaking work was featured on 60 Minutes and Nova, as well as in legal and scientific journals and books, finally reaching an international audience when it was chronicled in the 1996 bestseller, A Civil Action, by Jonathan Harr. The following year, the book became a major motion picture in which you were portrayed by John Travolta. I see the resemblance. You're better looking. Mr. Schlickman, you have remained deeply committed to the issues in the Woburn case, consulting with and testifying before government agencies and legislative committees on issues of toxic waste liability and the civil justice system, helping to shape the Massachusetts Hazardous Waste Cleanup Statute. In 2005, you co-founded the Legal Broadcast Network, a blogging and podcasting site that disseminates information about trial and settlement issues. In 2007, you founded the Civil Action Center to help educate attorneys and citizens about alternatives to litigation while expanding public understanding of environmental law. Jan Schlickman, your dedication to the law, public health, and the protection of the environment is an inspiration to these graduates. And for your efforts, we are proud to confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa, given this 21st day of May, 2010. Congratulations, Dr. Schlickman. Before he gets comfortable, it's my pleasure to invite Jan Schlickman back up to the podium to give this year's commencement address.
Well, I have to tell you, awfully humbling. Thank you so much. Really, an honor. I have to tell you, 33 years to be standing here, I consider this to be the achievement of my career. I'll always remember and cherish this moment. And I want to thank you for allowing me to share this beautiful moment in your life, where life is all around in all its glory, in this beautiful, beautiful setting. And you honor and humble me to ask me to come here and share with you some thoughts on this day. And I have to tell you, when I got the call, I said, well, gee, why would they want this loudmouth, troublemaking lawyer on a beautiful day like today? What could I possibly add to the proceedings? Well, they probably want to know what it's like to have John Travolta play you. That's why they invited you. I think my mother had the best answer. She was asked by a woman who was little and old and Jewish. She said, Travolta. And I said, well, a handsome Italian boy playing a nice Jewish boy? What's not to like? Could have been Joe Pesci or Danny DeVito. All I know is that Travolta made a hell of a lot more money playing me than I ever made playing me. One of the little ironies of life. But time is short. I only have a few minutes to talk to you. Look, you spent a lot of time doing a lot of things to get to this moment, and you didn't do it to sit in that chair. You got plans. You want to go places, and fast. So let's cut to the chase. You have now earned the right, which is only accorded to a few, the right to explore the great land of the law. And you will soon be taking a sacred oath to use the power that this land gives you, and it gives you great power, to take this power to ensure that justice is done. How are you going to do that? How are you going to fulfill that sacred oath? I suggest that you will do it by remembering the lessons that you learned in this beautiful place, in this beautiful setting, in this grand institution. The lessons that you learned, the simple, important lessons, don't forget them. That any dispute that is going to be resolved is going to be resolved, truly resolved, if it's based on something that is real and not fake. For, as Justice Brandeis said, and his words are inscribed in the rock in a temple of our justice here in the First Circuit. It's inscribed in the rock. They're important words. He said, justice is but truth in action. It cannot be done unless there's truth. But truth is not enough. It's not enough to know the truth. We have to act on what we know to be true for there to be justice. Now, you're soon going to enter this strange, new, alien world, and look, I got to tell you, you're going to be overwhelmed by the mystery of it. And it has darkness and danger and a lot of perils for the unwary, and you're going to have to learn the lessons to survive in such a place. And I have to tell you also, no secret, nobody here can ensure your success in that endeavor. But take heart. That piece of paper you get today, that diploma, look on the back. 6-point type. You get a 100% no money back guarantee that you're going to experience failure. Not once, but many times. But with luck and with pluck, you're going to survive that failure each and every time you're going to learn something. It's going to make you stronger. It's going to make you smarter and better able to take care and meet the next challenge. Now, you're going to go into this world, and you're going to have to spend some time in the wilderness. There's going to be long, cold, dark nights, sleepless nights in fear of the bears. You'll go through those nights, and if the bears don't get you, you're going to get a reward. You are going to wake to a glorious sunrise. And if you're really lucky, in that glorious glow of that experience, you will look out. And in one moment, you may just see the grand majesty of the law. This law that can take these disparate ideas and interests from all these different places and can bring them together and make them into a mighty river of thought that leads to a fathomless sea that can sustain generations beyond counting. And you will be in awe of the great power that can be harnessed from this land. And you will experience the joy. There will come these times you'll experience the joy where you'll see where law harnessed can make do good and great things. But there's going to come some other moments, and too often, where you are going to experience, as only lawyers can, the storms of unbridled power. You will be witness, and it will hurt, and hurt bad. You will be witness to power unharnessed, untethered to intellect, to compassion, to humanity, to common sense, to decency. And you will experience, as only a lawyer can, the terrible devastation that can be wrought when power is so untethered. Tyranny. Now, you will have these experiences, and they will weather you. They will weather you down to the core of your character. And you will, as all of us have, you will fall in love with the law. And you will want to make this place your home. You'll want to clear a little spot for yourself. And over time, you want to make that spot bigger, for yourself and for your families and your partners. And there'll be more partners. And you want to make that spot bigger, just like others have made their spot. Cut a little space, made a spot. And as these spots get bigger and bigger, there's going to be contact. And this contact could lead to conflict. And this conflict could lead to the possibility of war. And when there is this contact and conflict and possibility of war, you're going to have to make some choices. You're going to have to choose to either remember what you learned here or forget what you learned and replace it with something else a little less satisfying. You're going to have to make a choice during these moments between what is real and what is fake and how justice should be used. Now, I urge you to remember the lessons you learned here, because if you forget them, if you choose wrong, you most likely will wake up to desolation. Now, I know, I did. I woke up after a desolating experience. Now, I was fortunate because I sought refuge in the forested areas up north. You see, I went up there and I was fortunate. I met a man. He gave me food and shelter and he warmed me with a story. He told me about a man who lived in our part of the world some time ago when they had cleared away all the trees so that when the storms blew, they were so fierce they would freeze a man's soul, there not being one tree to block the wind. And this man wanted to become unfrozen. So he did a strange thing. He went up north. He went up north as far as you can go in this country and still be in this country. He went to a place dominated by a mountain. And one glorious morning, on that mountain's peak, he looked out at a vast green expanse and the mirrored light of 1,000 lakes and ponds. And then he went into the valley where he said life looked down on him. He said he looked into the ponds and he saw God's eye. And in that place, he was warmed by a thought. And he shared it with us. He said, you know, life, we got to think about life. Life is important. It has something to teach us. In wildness is our salvation. And we need to preserve this for our own sake. When the man finished his story, he told me his own. He said because people had heeded those words and preserved that place, he had had an opportunity to go into the forest and learn its secrets. He looked at me and he saw I was somebody who needed a secret. And he said, I'll give you one. The secret to life in the forest is death in the forest. He could see I wasn't getting it. See, so he took me deep into the woods. He took me to a great tree that was leaning over to one side. He says, look at this tree. Look along the bark. You see where the birds have been pecking to get at the insects that they love? And look at the base where the bears have been pawing to get at the ants that they love. This tree is given life. Now this tree is going to fall as all trees must. But when this tree falls, all the life inside is going to burst forth. And it's going to become the soil for the generation of a whole new kind of tree. You know, this experience sparked me. It renewed me. It reinvigorated me. And I went on a journey. I learned some other things. I learned about a man who lived in America's heartland, who at the end of his life, he wrote a journal about his efforts to save a desolated place, desolated by human hand. And he told a story about how when he was a young man, he went into the woods and he went on to the mountain's rimrock, and from there he saw a wolf. So he shot it. Later he said he held his prey and he watched as the fierce green fire died in her eyes. And he was troubled by a thought. Maybe the mountain and the wolf knew something he did not. Maybe it's not enough to think about life. Maybe we got to think like life. We got to think like the mountain. We got to think like the sea. We got to think like the river. We got to think like the tree. I learned the story of a woman who heeded Thoreau's words and thought about life, and heeded Leopold's words and thought like life, and she looked at all the places that life takes root. You know, the air and the earth and the water, and she found things that don't belong there. And these were waste products from the growing of things and the making of things and the testing of things. And she said, you know, these waste products, well, they can form a sinister partnership. And this sinister partnership can eat away at the very fabric of life. And if we don't take heed, if we don't take action, this tattered fabric could become like a shroud over our future. You know, it was only a couple of years after Rachel Carson's book came out that the city of Woburn, G&H, you know, to welcome new industry and new neighbors. And some of the new neighbors were the Woburn families who some years later woke up to find their children dying of cancer and their wells contaminated with chemicals, waste products from the making of things. And in their confusion and their despair, they did a strange thing. They decided to get a lawyer to get me. Now, I was young, and I was in a hurry, but I stopped long enough to hear their story, long enough to know I could not help them. You know what they did? They challenged me, like you will be challenged. They held their children up to me, and they said, don't you understand? Our children are choking to death on the lies. We need the truth. We need the truth. So I thought about it. I thought about it like you're going to think about things. You see, I sat there like a lawyer thinks about things. You see, I thought about the children and the need, the challenge, and the treasure. See, I thought about it all. And I said, yeah, this is what I want to do. I told my partners. They said, hey, one for all and all for one. And we decided to join the families on their journey. And what a journey this was. This was a journey into science and medicine, politics and economics. But most of all, it was a journey into the deep, dark forests of the law. And this was a really great journey. So great that it made for a really great book and a pretty good movie. Now, you don't need to hear the story. It's probably familiar to you. I don't need to repeat it. It was interesting characters. I know I'm one of them. And it involved in great and important things. And there was great conflict over important things. And great conflict became great war. And like all great wars, this was fought for good and important reasons. And this great conflict, this great war, ended the only way great wars can, in exhaustion. And you know, like I say, when it was over, I woke up to desolation. And this desolation, it unnerved me. I was lost and confused and afraid. And all I could think about is what I lost and not what I had gained. You see, and in my confused state, I began to stumble. I began to tumble. I tumbled all the way over the edge, you see, and flailing wildly, I managed to grab hold of the outstretched fingers of a branch. I held on for dear life. But I couldn't see a way up, and I couldn't see a way down. And I knew in my exhausted state, it would only be a matter of time before I let go. So I closed my eyes to accept my fate. And you know, it was in that long, endless moment, swinging between life and death, that I realized something. I was holding something important in my hand, something vital. And this thought, it made me want to live. And I realized that one branch, why, it leads to another. I grabbed it. And from the branch to the limb, from the limb to the trunk, and from the trunk to solid ground. I was so overwhelmed by my accomplishment, I decided to just stand there and think about that tree that had just saved my life. You know, I thought about that tree. It keeps from falling over into the abyss by anchoring itself in the bedrock. And its roots, they're nourished by all the life that's gone before. And this tree, it reaches for the sun by always branching out to other life. And I stayed there so long in that place that my life began to take root right there in that place. And because it did, I have now the honor of standing before you to share my story with you. Let me return the honor that you have bestowed on me. Let me share this thought. I hope you find it of worth. When you find yourself in the deep, dark forests, lost and confused and very much afraid, when you're unsure of the choices, of what lessons to be remembered and which to be forgotten, when you are flailing wildly, trying to decide what is true, what is real, and what is fake, and how power should be used, may I extend to you the branch, the one that was extended to me, the one that saved my life. Think about what you and all of us hold in our hand. Think about life. Think like life, and think about all the places that life takes root. And you know what? I think that if you do that individually and collectively, it just might be that you will be the generation for a whole new kind of thinking. And this whole new kind of thinking will be the tree that will give seed to a safer and a healthier and a better world. Good luck, and God bless you on your journey.
Thank you, Jan, for your thoughtful remarks. At this point in the commencement ceremony, the 15th for this School of Law, I invite the class valedictorian, Melissa McGow, to make some remarks on behalf of the class of 2010. Melissa?
Thank you, Dean Logan. Good afternoon, faculty and staff, distinguished guests, friends and family, and most importantly, the class of 2010. I'm incredibly honored and humbled to be here today. However, in the true spirit of a soon-to-be lawyer, I feel as though it is necessary to begin this with a disclaimer. Although I am at the podium right now, I want to clarify that I am certain that I am no wiser, no smarter, and certainly no more clever than anyone else here today. What most of you do not know about me is that up until 3 years ago, my family had appropriately coined me as their dumb jock. I began playing sports at the age of 5, was a national champion in women's ice hockey by age 13, and a Division I Big East champion in women's field hockey by age 21. I say this to you only so that I can also explain that along that path, I managed to lose academic scholarships, repeatedly land myself in mandatory study hall, and receive more than my fair share of rejection letters from law schools. Because of all this, I find it especially difficult to stand up here and try to lecture on the keys to success or insightful words of wisdom. Rather, I decided the best thing I could do with this time is share with you all a quote I believe truly exemplifies every person graduating today. Upon ending my athletic career at Providence College, I took this quote out of my locker. It appropriately ended up on the back of my desk and remains there today. Beecher reads, "Hold yourself responsible for a higher standard than anyone else expects of you. Never excuse yourself." I have been extremely fortunate in my life to have very loving and supporting friends and family. I was also graced with wonderful new friends and the endless support of a dedicated professor here at law school. My only dilemma with my support system was that they had such high expectations from me that at times it seemed impossible to set even higher standards for myself. And while I often thought their expectations would lead me to insanity, I am confident that that is what has led me to here today. For those of you in attendance who have provided similar support and high standards for anyone graduating today, I think I can speak on behalf of all of us by saying that you are truly, truly appreciated. I do not know if everyone today has been equally blessed to have such supportive friends and family. However, it is clear that everyone crossing the stage has held themselves to high standards and has exceeded expectations nonetheless. Whether it be the former military members now excelling in school after supporting our nation, the military wives who balance law school while supporting their husbands at far distances, the fathers who balance law school with work and a family, the classmates who gave birth and raised infants during school, the classmates who overcame unexpected medical problems while maintaining a full class schedule, or even those managing to live up to a family tradition of lawyers. Whatever the case may be, everyone graduating today met and exceeded expectations set for them. We have all persevered through law school, even when people may have doubted our abilities to do so. Whatever you have overcome and worked through to be here today, I commend you for and I admire you for. I think it is safe to say that the law school experience has been terrifying yet entertaining and a bit of a blur yet never ending. Unlike other graduations, however, this one is truly a commencement of what we will actually be doing in the future, practicing law. I think I speak on behalf of the class when I thank Roger Williams University for setting such high standards and for encouraging us to exceed our expectations. From the strict grade curves to the demanding professors to the public service requirement, this law school has challenged all of us, and by doing so has put us on a track to success. I truly believe that everyone graduating today will be amazing attorneys, judges, teachers, mentors, and members of society. For those of you that I have had the privilege to get to know, I want to thank you for the past 3 years of stress, laughter, and growth. I wish everyone here success and happiness, and I hope none of us ever begin to excuse ourselves. Congratulations, class of 2010, and best wishes.
Thank you, Melissa. As you leave the familiar grounds of law school to undertake a career in the law, I challenge you to retain that sense of hope and optimism that you brought with you your first day of law school. Remember the lessons taught about personal and professional responsibility so that you will always be proud of who and what you are. And keep ever in mind that as a lawyer you are empowered and indeed duty-bound to make a difference in the lives of the clients who you will serve and the society in which you will live. We will now confer the law degrees and present the degree candidates for the class of 2010. Would the candidates for the Doctor of Juris degree please rise? President Nerschel, I certify on behalf of the faculty of the School of Law that these candidates are eligible for the degree of Juris Doctor.
Dean Logan, by virtue of the authority granted by the State of Rhode Island and Providence Plantations and delegated to me by the Board of Trustees of Roger Williams University, I confer upon you the degree of Juris Doctor with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities pertaining thereto. Will the candidates please come forward? And Associate Dean for Academic Affairs, David Zlotnick, will present each candidate.